Ladies and gentlemen, imagine this. You're standing at the edge of a cliff, wind at your back, looking down at a horizon filled with possibilities, businesses that could change lives, ideas that could make history. But there's just one problem. You're frozen, you're not leaping, because deep down you are stuck being a wantrepreneur, someone who dreams huge but never acts, someone who writes down goals but never marches toward them, someone who's always preparing, planning, postponing. Today, here and now, I challenge you to bridge the gap between wishing and doing, to stop being someone who talks about business and become someone who builds business, to stop being a spectator in your own life and start being the CEO of your own destiny. Picture this. You wake up every morning with the fire of an idea burning inside you. You talk about it with friends. You imagine what it could look like. You see yourself at the top. But when it comes time to act, you hesitate. That hesitation is the gap between dreaming and owning. It's the invisible line that separates people who only want from those who actually become. And crossing that line starts with one thing, a complete shift in mindset. See, the difference between those who dabble in ambition and those who build legacies is ownership. Ownership of the vision, ownership of the risk, ownership of the outcome. Most people look at circumstances, at challenges, at the economy, and they let those things dictate what they can or cannot do. But the truth is, the economy doesn't decide your future. You do. Circumstances don't determine your destiny. You do. The moment you accept that everything in your life is your responsibility, you stop waiting for permission. You stop playing defense. You step onto the field ready to build. Vision is not just about seeing what others don't. It's about seeing what's possible even when no one else believes. It's easy to say, I have a vision, but here's the question, do you own it? Because when you truly own your vision, you don't let other people's doubts kill it. You don't allow fear to dilute it. You don't let comfort keep you from chasing it. Ownership means if your vision fails, you don't blame investors or customers or family or friends. You look in the mirror and you say, it's on me, and because it's on me, I have the power to fix it. That level of ownership changes everything. Suddenly, you stop asking, what if this doesn't work? And you start asking, what needs to happen to make it work? You stop waiting for the perfect partner, the perfect team, or the perfect investor. You realize you already have the one resource you need most, yourself, your discipline, your persistence, your creativity. And when you lean into that, you begin to attract the right people, because people follow leaders who believe in their own vision. Now let's be clear. Ownership is not about control, it's about responsibility. You can't control the market. You can't control competitors. You can't control timing. But you can control how you respond. You can control how you prepare. You can control how much you learn, how fast you adapt, how long you persist. And that's where real entrepreneurs separate themselves. They don't sit around waiting for the world to change. They change themselves, and through that, they change the world. This is why the mindset shift is non-negotiable. If you stay stuck in the mindset of a dreamer, you'll always need external motivation. You'll need someone to push you, to validate you, to give you confidence. But when you shift into ownership, you don't need cheerleaders. You become your own engine. You create momentum. You hold yourself accountable. And that self-leadership is magnetic. People will believe in your vision when they see that you are all in on it, no matter what. Think about every major breakthrough you've seen in business history. None of those founders were ready. None of them had perfect conditions, but they had vision, and more importantly, they took ownership of that vision. They didn't just want change, they built change. They didn't just talk about opportunity, they created opportunity. They didn't just wait for the world to notice, they forced the world to pay attention. Here's the reality. Most people want the glory but not the grind. They want the title, but not the responsibility. They want the outcome, but not the process. That's why so many stay stuck at the wanting stage. Ownership means you embrace the grind, the responsibility, and the process because you understand it's the only way to earn the outcome. You can't fake this. You can't outsource it. You can't bypass it. Ownership is the price of entry. When you decide to own your vision, you transform pressure into fuel. Every obstacle becomes proof that you're moving. Every setback becomes data. Every long night, every risk, every uncomfortable decision. It all becomes part of the story you're writing. And here's the beauty. The story only belongs to those who actually take ownership. No one remembers the people who only wanted. The world remembers those who built. So if you're standing on the edge right now, wondering if you should jump, wondering if you're ready, let me make it simple. You'll never feel ready. And that's the point. Readiness doesn't come before ownership. Ownership creates readiness. The moment you say, this is mine and I'm responsible for where it goes, you unlock a new level of drive. That's when you stop making excuses. That's when you stop needing motivation. That's when you stop being someone who wants and start being someone who does. At the end of the day, your life and your business will be the sum of one thing, what you chose to own. And the question is, do you want to live as a spectator of what could have been, or as the architect of what is? The shift begins the moment you stop saying, I want to, and you start saying, I will. The moment you stop waiting for the right time and declare, the right time is now. The moment you stop hoping for someone to save you and realize no one is coming, it's up to me. That's ownership. That's vision. That's the difference between those who dream about the life they want and those who actually build it. Would you like me to also expand the same way on the other four keynote? Execution, fail fast, systems, persistence. In the same tone, so you'll have a complete long form script for your channel. Everyone has ideas. Ideas are everywhere. You can sit in a coffee shop and hear 10 people talking about the next big thing they want to build, the app that's going to change the world, the product that's going to revolutionize an industry. And yet, 9 out of 10 of those conversations never leave the table. Why? Because the truth is, ideas don't matter without execution. An idea in your head is nothing more than a daydream. Execution is what turns it into reality. The world doesn't reward you for thinking about possibilities. It rewards you for creating them. You don't get paid for imagination alone. You get paid when imagination is paired with discipline, consistency, and action. And this is where so many people get stuck. They believe that having the right idea is the key, when in reality, it's about being the one who acts on whatever idea you have and pushes it until it becomes something tangible. Think about it. How many times have you heard someone say, I thought of that business years ago? When they see a successful company, you know what? It doesn't matter. They didn't execute. Someone else did. And that's why the credit, the market, and the wealth go to the doer, not the dreamer. The market doesn't pay for the concept. It pays for the delivery. Execution requires courage because execution means risk. The moment you move from idea to action, you expose yourself. You risk failure. You risk embarrassment. You risk proving that your idea might not work. That's why so many people hide behind planning. They say they're researching or waiting for the right time, but deep down, they're stalling because action is scary. But here's the paradox. By avoiding action, they guarantee failure, because inaction kills more dreams than bad execution ever will. When you execute, you enter the real game. You start learning truths that no book, no mentor, no course could ever teach you. You discover what customers actually want, what the market actually values, what your product is really worth. Every step you take teaches you something. Every launch, every pitch, every trial run gives you feedback that makes your idea sharper and stronger. Execution is the classroom where entrepreneurs are forged. The most dangerous lie you can tell yourself is that you need the perfect plan before you start. You don't. The perfect plan doesn't exist. The best businesses in the world didn't launch with flawless execution. They launched messy. They launched broken. They launched imperfect. But they launched, and because they launched, they learned, and because they learned, they improved. That's the cycle. Execute, learn, adjust, repeat. That's how you grow from zero to something. Ideas also don't scale. Systems do, and systems are built through the act of execution. When you take consistent action, you start identifying what works and what doesn't. You double down on the right moves, you cut out the wasted ones, and slowly you create a system that runs smoother each time. That's how momentum builds. That's how small, scrappy beginnings turn into strong, resilient businesses. Another truth about execution is that it separates talkers from leaders. Talkers attract attention for a moment, but leaders attract trust. People trust the ones who act. Investors, employees, partners, and even customers. They want to see that you're serious, that you're willing to put skin in the game. Words might inspire briefly, but action builds lasting belief. If you want people to follow you, stop telling them what you're going to do and show them what you've already started. Execution also demands discipline. It's not about one burst of action, it's about sustained movement. Anyone can take action once. The real test is, can you keep executing when the excitement fades, when the results are slower than you expected, when the world isn't applauding? That's when execution becomes a mindset, not just an event. Consistency beats intensity. Showing up every day beats showing off one day. And when you do that, the compound effect takes over. Small daily actions accumulate into massive outcomes. Here's the part most people don't realize. Execution is not just about building the business, it's about building you. Every time you take action, you sharpen your skills. Every time you push through resistance, you build resilience. Execution makes you more resourceful, more confident, more decisive. Over time, you become the kind of person who doesn't wait, who doesn't hesitate, who doesn't live in the shadows of what if. You become someone who moves, someone who builds, someone who creates momentum everywhere you go. Look at any successful entrepreneur you admire. Their genius wasn't in having ideas no one else ever thought of. Their genius was in taking those ideas and executing relentlessly. They weren't the first to imagine, but they were the first to act, the first to stick with it, the first to refine until the world had no choice but to notice. That's the edge, not dreaming, doing. So ask yourself right now, are you in love with the idea of your idea, or are you committed to the grind of execution? Because the idea might excite you, but only execution will transform you. The idea might impress people for a moment, but only execution will build something that lasts. At the end of the day, your ideas are worthless if they stay in your head. The only thing that matters is what you execute on. You either ship it, launch it, build it, test it, or you let it die in silence. That's the brutal truth, and if you can accept that truth, you free yourself from the trap of waiting. You stop polishing dreams and start producing results. The world doesn't care how brilliant your idea sounds in theory. It cares about what you deliver in practice. So stop clinging to perfection. Stop waiting for certainty and start moving. Take the first step, then the next, then the next. Let the process refine you. Let the grind shape you, and soon enough, you'll realize that execution, not ideas, is the real currency of success. Failure is a word that scares most people, but it's the very thing that separates dreamers from builders. The truth is, failure is not the enemy. Fear of failure is. When you step into the world of business, you have to make peace with the fact that you will stumble, you will make mistakes, and you will get it wrong more times than you get it right. But here's the catch. Those mistakes are not wasted, they are lessons, and if you're smart, you use them as fuel. The faster you fail, the faster you learn, and the faster you grow. Most people spend years trying to avoid failure. They want certainty, they want guarantees, they want a smooth path. They try to design the perfect plan, the perfect product, the perfect pitch, all so they don't get hurt. But perfection is a trap. You cannot think your way into success. You have to move, take action, hit walls, and adjust. Failure is the tuition you pay for experience, and the sooner you pay it, the sooner you earn the wisdom. Think about the first time you learned anything new, riding a bike, driving a car, speaking a language. Did you get it right the first time? Of course not. You wobbled, you made mistakes, you corrected, and eventually you mastered it. Business works the same way. You don't master entrepreneurship in your head. You master it in the field by doing, by failing, by refining. Each failure is a feedback loop telling you where you need to adjust. When you embrace failing fast, you unlock an incredible advantage, speed. While others are still sitting on the sidelines, perfecting their plans, you've already tested 10 things. Maybe 7 failed, 2 worked halfway, and 1 showed promise. That one idea, discovered through action, is worth more than all the theories someone else is still scribbling on a whiteboard. Speed beats perfection, action beats hesitation, failure also builds resilience. Every time you fail and get back up, you become tougher, you develop a thick skin, you stop taking rejection personally. You realize setbacks don't define you, they refine you. And that resilience is priceless, because entrepreneurship is not a straight line. It's messy, unpredictable, filled with highs and lows. If you don't learn to fail fast, you'll break the first time life punches you in the face. But if you've already failed 100 times, you don't crumble. You adapt. The key, though, is not just failing fast. It's learning faster. Some people fail and never recover because they don't reflect. They don't analyze. They don't ask what went wrong. What can I do differently next time? They repeat the same mistakes over and over, and that's not growth. That's stubbornness. Growth comes when you fail, pause, extract the lesson, and then apply it immediately. Failure without learning is wasted pain. Failure with learning is progress. Great entrepreneurs treat failure like data. They don't see it as shame. They see it as information. A product flopped, good. Now you know what the market doesn't want. A strategy bombed, perfect. Now you know where not to waste resources. A pitch got rejected, excellent. Now you know what doesn't resonate with investors. Every failure is pointing you closer to the truth, but only if you're willing to pay attention. This mindset also frees you from the fear of judgment. A lot of people hold back because they're afraid of looking stupid, of being laughed at, of others saying, "I told you so." But the ones who fail fast and learn faster don't care about that noise. They know every no brings them closer to a yes. Every closed door leads them closer to the one that opens. And when success finally comes, no one remembers the failures. They only see the result. Look at the most successful companies in the world today. They're standing on mountains of failed products, failed experiments, failed ideas, but they moved quickly, they tested, they pivoted, and they learned. That's why they got ahead. They didn't avoid failure. They embraced it as part of the process. Here's the truth. Failure hurts, but regret hurts more. You can recover from a failure. You can adjust, rebuild, try again. But you can't recover from the regret of never trying, never acting, never giving yourself the chance. Failing fast means you live fully. You don't die wondering. You know you gave it everything, and you learned more in the process than most people do in a lifetime of playing it safe. So the next time you hesitate because you're afraid of failing, remind yourself that failure is not the end. It's the beginning. It's the evidence that you're in the game. It's the proof that you're moving forward while others are still standing still. And if you can fail fast, reflect quickly, and adapt instantly, you'll always be one step ahead. At the end of the day, the people who win aren't the ones who avoided falling. They're the ones who kept getting back up faster than anyone else. That's the formula. Move, fail, learn, adapt, repeat. Do it enough times and eventually you'll find the break through everyone else was too scared to chase. There's a stage every entrepreneur goes through where hustle feels like the badge of honor. You grind 18 hours a day, you do everything yourself, and you wear exhaustion like proof that you're serious. In the beginning, that hustle is necessary. It's the fuel that gets you off the ground. But if you stay stuck there, you'll burn out before you break through. Hustle can get you started, but systems are what scale you. The real leap happens when you stop being the machine and start building the machine. Hustle is energy, systems are structure. Hustle is temporary, systems are permanent. Hustle is pushing, systems are pulling. When you rely only on hustle, everything depends on your effort. The moment you stop moving, the business stops moving. But when you build systems, your business has momentum of its own. It keeps running even when you step away. That's the difference between building a job and building an enterprise. Think about it this way. Hustle is like carrying buckets of water back and forth. You can do it, you can sweat, you can even get stronger at it. But systems are like building the pipeline. Once the pipeline is built, water flows whether you're there or not. That's leverage, that's freedom. That's scalability. A system is simply a repeatable process that produces consistent results. It could be how you acquire customers, how you onboard employees, how you deliver your product, how you track your numbers. Without systems, you're reinventing the wheel every day. You're reacting to problems instead of preventing them. You're stuck in chaos, constantly putting out fires. With systems, you create order. You design flow. You eliminate wasted motion. And here's the hard truth. Many people resist building systems because it feels boring compared to hustling. Hustle feels heroic. You're on the front lines. You're grinding. You're the savior of every situation. Systems, on the other hand, require patience. They require you to slow down, think, design, test, refine, but that patience pays you back forever. Every hour you spend building a system is 100 hours you'll save in the future. Every process you create is energy freed up to focus on growth, not maintenance. Systems also multiply your efforts through people. If everything lives in your head, your business can only be as big as your capacity. But when you create systems, you empower others to replicate your results. You can delegate with confidence because you know the process will deliver. You can train new people faster, expand into new markets quicker, and keep quality consistent no matter how much you scale. Hustle is a one-man show. Systems create an orchestra. Another advantage of systems is data. Hustle runs on instinct. Systems run on information. When you have processes in place, you can measure them, track them, and optimize them. You can see where the bottlenecks are, where money is being wasted, where customers are dropping off. You move from guessing to knowing, and once you know, you can improve with precision. The most dangerous trap for a hustler is success without systems. You push hard, you make money, things look good. But behind the scenes, it's chaos. You're drowning in tasks, opportunities are slipping through cracks, and growth feels like pain, not progress. Without systems, success can collapse under its own weight. That's why so many people plateau. They hit a ceiling they can't break because they never built the infrastructure to handle more. Building systems doesn't mean you stop working hard. It means your hard work compounds instead of evaporates. Every piece of effort you put into a system becomes an asset. It continues to produce for you long after the initial grind. That's how you multiply time. That's how you go from hustling for dollars to building wealth that grows even when you sleep. Ask yourself right now, if you disappeared from your business for a month, what would happen? Would everything collapse or would things keep running? That question tells you if you're still in hustle mode or if you've built real systems. A true entrepreneur designs their business so it thrives without them. That's when you know you've shifted from operator to architect. Building systems is not glamorous, but it is powerful. It's the difference between sprinting in circles and running a marathon with a map. It's the difference between burning out and breaking through. Hustle may impress people in the short term, but systems build legacies in the long term. So yes, hustle when you start. Use that energy to ignite momentum. But don't stop there. Step back and ask, how do I make this repeatable? How do I remove myself from the bottleneck? How do I create a machine that runs smoother each time? That's the real game. That's the evolution every builder must go through. At the end of the day, hustle might get you attention, but systems will give you freedom. Hustle might make you feel busy, but systems will make you truly productive. Hustle can get you a small win, but systems will take you to scale. Don't just grind harder, design smarter. Build the pipelines, build the processes, build the infrastructure. Because in the long run, the entrepreneurs who win aren't the ones who hustled the hardest. They're the ones who built systems that made hustle unnecessary. Everyone loves the idea of quick success, fast money, overnight fame, instant results. It's seductive. The world feeds us highlight reels showing billionaires who came out of nowhere, brands that exploded overnight, and influencers who just got lucky. But behind every so-called overnight success lies years, sometimes decades, of persistence, grind, patience, and long-term thinking. The truth is, there is no shortcut. There's no elevator to the top. You climb one step at a time, and the ones who make it are the ones who refuse to stop climbing. Short-term thinking is what kills more dreams than failure ever will. When you think short-term, you chase hype. You get distracted by every new shiny opportunity. You quit too soon because you don't see results fast enough. But building anything meaningful requires a horizon that stretches beyond weeks or months. It requires a mindset that says, I'm willing to play this game for years. Because businesses don't grow in straight lines. They compound over time, and compounding only works for those who persist long enough to see it. Persistence is not glamorous. It's the discipline of showing up when no one's watching. It's pushing through when motivation has faded. It's taking the next step when you're tired, when you're doubting yourself, when the market slaps you in the face. Persistence is not about talent or genius. It's about endurance. Most people quit not because they can't succeed, but because they can't endure the process long enough. Think about a tree. You plant a seed, water it, nurture it, and for a long time, nothing happens. Days pass, weeks pass, sometimes months, and you see no visible growth. That's when most people give up. But what's happening beneath the soil is unseen development. Roots digging deeper, structure forming, foundation being built. And then suddenly one day growth shoots up. That's how persistence works. You're building foundations before the results show. Quit too early and you never get to see the harvest. Long-term thinking forces you to prioritize sustainability over excitement. Short-term thinkers burn themselves out chasing every opportunity, while long-term thinkers stay focused on the vision. They know markets will shift, trends will change, competitors will rise and fall. But if they stay consistent, adapt smartly, and keep showing up, they'll outlast everyone. Longevity itself becomes a competitive advantage. Persistence also requires patience with failure. You can't expect your first attempt to be the final masterpiece. You'll try, you'll fail, you'll adjust, and you'll try again. Each cycle teaches you something new, sharpens your instincts, and strengthens your resolve. The ones who win are not the ones who never fall. They're the ones who fall 100 times and get back up 101. But persistence is not blind stubbornness. It's not repeating the same mistakes and calling it grit. True persistence is paired with long-term thinking. It's about being flexible in your tactics but unshakable in your vision. You may change how you move, but you don't stop moving. You may pivot your product, your strategy, your approach, but you don't abandon the mission. That's how you endure without wasting effort. Another aspect of long-term thinking is delayed gratification. In a world addicted to instant rewards, those who can delay gratification win big. It's saying no to short-term pleasures so you can build long-term gains. It's reinvesting profits instead of spending them. It's building systems when you'd rather enjoy the rush of hustle. It's thinking about what your business will look like 10 years from now instead of just chasing what feels good today. Persistence will test you. There will be days when you want to walk away, times when it feels like nothing is working, nights when you lie awake wondering if you're crazy for believing. That's when long-term thinking saves you. It reminds you that greatness isn't built in weeks. It reminds you that every legendary story had chapters of struggle. It reminds you that the pain of persistence is temporary, but the regret of quitting lasts forever. Look at the most iconic builders, creators, and leaders in history. They weren't the smartest in the room every time. They weren't always the most talented, but they refused to quit. They outlasted rejection, ridicule, and setbacks. They stayed in the game long enough to catch the breaks that others never reached. Persistence made them inevitable, and here's the thing, long-term thinking doesn't just shape your business, it shapes you. It forces you to become someone disciplined, patient, resilient, and grounded, someone who doesn't get thrown off course by every distraction, someone who can withstand storms without breaking, someone who can play the long game while others burn out in the sprint. That personal growth becomes your greatest asset because businesses rise and fall, but the person you become through persistence can build again and again. So the question is simple. Are you here for a sprint or are you here for the marathon? Do you want quick wins that fade, or do you want a legacy that lasts? Are you willing to keep showing up, even when results are invisible, even when progress feels painfully slow, even when no one is clapping? Because if you are, you're already ahead of most people. In the end, persistence always beats resistance. Long-term thinkers always outlast short-term opportunists. The ones who win are not the ones who start the fastest, but the ones who refuse to stop. So keep going, keep building, keep showing up, because success is not about how quickly you get there. It's about how long you're willing to stay in the game until it's yours. So here's the moment of truth. Will you stay a dreamer, wishing for one day, waiting for the stars to align? Or will you rise today, put on the mantle of entrepreneurship, and become the person who builds, because the world doesn't need more people who want. It needs more people who do, more people who stop saying maybe someday and start saying today. Make that decision. Take the first imperfect step. Learn, fail, adjust, build systems, persist when most quit. I believe that after today, when you look back, you won't remember the doubts. You'll remember the moment you decided, enough wanting. I am now an entrepreneur. Go. Build, lead, thrive.